Do I just start or?
Hold on. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Sri Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace HARINAMANANDA Prabhu, who needs no introduction. And it's very beautiful we have him speaking today because today is the last day of 2024. Today is December 31st. And we have His Grace Harinamananda Prabhu, who is his name represents what this age is all about. Harinam Sankirtan, the Yuga Dharma, the Dharma for the age of Kali. So we are very much blessed. We haven't had the association for quite a while, but it's so beautiful to have you back, and especially on this wonderful day, December 31st. So without further ado, we may put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here. Hare Krishna.
I'll put my video on for some reason.
Yeah, your video is not on yet.
Actually, it's already the new year here. Because we just did Harinam till midnight, and 7 o'clock to midnight. And so we just had Prashadam afterwards. And yeah, I can somehow stay awake till 1 a.m. to do the fast, so that's good.
You should be able to start your video now. Yes. Yeah, we can see you. Well, one thing I omitted also is that Prabhuji, you're speaking from Melbourne?
I'm in the Gold Coast, which is like near Brisbane.
Okay, so that's of course. So that is a very odd time for Prabhuji to speak also. But he's here with us. It's like 2 o'clock his time, 2 o'clock in the morning. What a tapas!
1
What a
a.m.
tapas here! Probably.
Yeah, so I'm in the future. I'm in the new year now.
Wow. Well, thank you for being here, Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5. This chapter is entitled Vidura's Talks with Maitreya, text 21. Bhavam Bhagavato Nityam Samata Samudasya Yasya Jnanopadeshaya Madhisad Bhagavan Bhajan. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Your good self is one of the eternal associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for whose sake the Lord, while going back to his abode, left instructions with me. The purport. Yamaraj, the great controller of life after death, decides the living entities' destinies and their next lives. He is surely among the most confidential representatives of the Lord. Such confidential posts offered to great devotees of the Lord, who are as good as his eternal associates in the spiritual scale. And because Vidura happened to be among them, the Lord, while returning to Vaikuntha, left instructions for Vidura with Maitreya Muni. Generally, the eternal associates of the Lord in the spiritual sky do not come to the material world. Sometimes they come, however, by the order of the Lord, not to hold any administrative posts, but to associate with the Lord in person, or to propagate the message of God in human society. Such empowered representatives are called Shakti avatars, or incarnations invested with the transcendental power of eternity, eternal. Omikyativadandasya Gyanavachalakya Chakshamitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swaya Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swadadatikam Kamchikapataruvishya Kukasindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gauravaktana Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the associates of the Lord are empowered to give the message of God in human society. Such personalities like Yamaraj came as Vidura. As we know, Vidura is the uh, son of Vichitravira, and being the son of a maidservant, he wasn't entitled to the throne of the Kurus. But this took place due to a curse that was given by a certain sage that he was captured along with some thieves, and he was punished along with the thieves to be pierced by a lance. And then when they found out when the sage, this was unjust, Yamaraj doesn't know what he's doing. So then he cursed him to become a Sudra. So then he took birth as the son of the Vichitravira, son of a maidservant. So here we see that he's being glorified as being the confidential, uh, confidential servant of the Lord, or representative of the Lord. This is not an ordinary position. To run into a representative of the Lord or confidential servant of the Lord, that never happens. But somehow the Lord is so kind that he sends so many of them to try and elevate human society. So are they like us? It looks like they go through the same motions that we do, taking birth, going to school, having friends, having troubles and conflicts with different people, even maybe even getting angry. So how can we tell that they are on the same level of the associates in the spiritual sphere? How can we tell? So we see here Vidura demonstrated this in so many ways, especially in his relationship with Krishna. Vidura was always thinking about the goodwill, and he was always a well-wisher of the Pandavas. Because Krishna desired that the Pandavas would rule the kingdom. He didn't want anyone else to. He wanted Yudhisthira Maharaj and his brothers to rule. But unfortunately, uh, the first son of Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, was evil-minded to take over. And his father was just as blind spiritually. So it looked like the Pandavas were being cheated left, right, and center. We always get worried about that. If we're too nice, if we're too humble, then people will step over us. Where, where do you draw the line? That you have to stick up for yourself. And where do you draw the line that, oh no, this is the Lord's arrangement? What do you do? If you were cheated so much, just like the Pandavas, you did nothing wrong. You're just trying to always follow Dharma. It's like you just did it. How would you feel? Even Krishna, the Lord himself is your cousin. How would you feel when you were cheated so many times? And not just by any strangers, but just even your cousin brothers, like your relatives, trying to burn you, send you away, and then set the house on fire. trying to give you poison cake, trying to even disrobe your own wife, steal your kingdom, attack you with deadly weapons, how would you respond with any of these things? If someone just took $5 from you, a relative, you'll never speak to them for 5 months. So, we hold the grudge so much, but you see the Pandavas demonstrated that they held no grudge. Yudhisthira he wouldn't call Duryodhana Duryodhana. He would call him Suyodhana. It's actually very good. Dur means bad, but Su means good. So Yudhisthira is known as a Jatasastri. Right? His enemy is never born. So you may think that, okay, so he had so many enemies, he fought a war. But he never saw them as his enemies. His fighting as a Kshatriya was just his duty. We saw how Arjuna, when when he captured Ashwatthama, after Ashwatthama killed his sons while they were asleep, the 5 sons of Draupadi while he was asleep. Draupadi even said, yes, you go get him, and when I do the sacred bathing for funeral rites for my sons, I will stand on his head. So Arjuna has to capture him. And there's a full drama. Krishna says you must kill him. And then Draupadi says, no, can't kill this Brahmana. He's the son of your teacher. It's by his mercy that you have so many martial arts skills. And I don't want his wife to go through what I'm going through, losing her son. So please, don't kill him. And Yudhisthira agreed, yes, you can't kill him. I'm not saying that. But then Bhima goes, I'll do it. Should just kill him now. And then Bhima is about to kill Ashwatthama, and then Draupadi jumps in the way, and then Krishna jumps. He, he has two more arms. So he has 4 arms, two for Bhima and two for Draupadi. It's like a Bollywood drama. And then Krishna changes his mind. It's like, I think Yudhisthira is right. Maybe you shouldn't kill him. So Krishna is just putting Arjuna on the spot to show how amazing his devotee, how great his judgment is in doing the right thing. And Yudhisthira just cuts the top knot along with the jewel. So he killed his status as a Brahmin, killed him, but he didn't kill his body. So export. What would you do in that situation? So we can see how these eternal associates, when they come to this material world, just by their behavior, just by their love for Krishna, just by their consciousness in Krishna, whatever I have to do is to please Krishna. They do the most amazing things. They tolerate to the nth degree so many reverses. So Krishna does this on purpose to glorify his devotee, to show you who they are. Here, Vidura, it said here that before the Lord went to the spiritual world, he had some instructions for Vidura. So when we see the pastimes of Krishna leaving this world, he instructed Uddhava. We have the Uddhava Gita. But when Uddhava was hearing, Uddhava was supposed to stay back, and he was supposed to preach in the Himalayas and give the information of the sages there. He wasn't going. He wasn't going back with him. So along with Uddhava, Maitreya Muni was also here. And then we have it looks like even 2 cantos, I think the third and the fourth, of conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. So actually we hear this Uddhava Gita twice now. It's quite interesting that in the Uddhava Gita, it feels like more like the Bhagavad Gita, like certain, there's not many pastimes, it's more like instructions. And different spiritual techniques are established. Kind of feels like a second version of the Bhagavad Gita. But we see in these two cantos, there's so many pastimes take place, so many remembrances of the Lord. And Vitura first of all met Uddhava. Because Uddhava was younger, he didn't want to instruct him. So he directed him to Maitreya. Now we're in this conversation now. So Prabhupada in the purport here says that the eternal source of the Lord, generally they don't come to the material world. Okay, why would you? They describe the material world as like a prison house, Urga, and fortress. So why would you come to a prison? Even if you're a free citizen, all of us are free citizens. No, you wouldn't volunteer to go to a prison, even just to be a guard or to get a job there. I think even that you wouldn't want to do. What to speak of voluntarily and try to like change the minds of prisoners or help them get out in some way to leave a terrible condition. I don't think we'd do such a thing. But they come, it says here, by the order of the Lord. The Lord instructs them. I want you to go there and preach my glory. And we have so many examples. I guess the most famous example is Lord Jesus Christ. We just had Christmas. He also preached of Lord Jesus Christ. And yes, he was only thinking about the will of the Father. It's not my will, but thy will. And he tolerated so much as well. And then, obviously the whole thing of dying or taking the sins of all his followers. I mean, what a merciful personality. And Prabhupada saw him as our guru. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said he's Shakti Avatar. That he was so powerful that he could preach the love of God to so many people. And now his name is glorified even 2,000 years later. Even Srila Prabhupada is considered Shakti-based avatar. His godbrother, Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Swami, was saying that yes, he's Shakti-based avatar. That's why he agreed. So then his disciple asked, well, what Vaish? So Vaish means like dress, or so Shakti Vaish avatar. So what's the Vaish of Prabhupada? He said Nityananda Vaish. He is like especially empowered by Lord Nityananda. He was like most versatile, deliverer of like the Jagais and Madhais. We can see Srila Prabhupada did such a thing. Just let alone just getting on the cargo ship, having 2 heart attacks on the way, not landing in New York, not knowing whether to go left or right, having only 40 rupees at hand. In like the heavy winter as well, it's one of the most coldest winters ever in the history of New York. And he wasn't prepared for that. He was in Vrindavan, everything was good. He could have just stayed there, give a few lectures in English, and instruction done. But no, he really wanted to spread Krishna consciousness. He wanted the English-speaking world to take up Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada revealed to his disciple, I think it was Bhavananda, he said that Krishna told me to go to the material world. So Prabhupada said, I don't want to go to the material world. I don't like austerity. But Krishna says, no, you go and you write books, I'll do the rest. So we can see the Shakti of Prabhupada through the writing of his books. This message of God coming through this literature. Just writing them, how could you write 60 volumes of books in 11 years? At the same time, manage and build a worldwide movement. Bring up disciples not from Indian background or highest background, but from like the Bowery, hippies, taking LSD, having free sex, exploring and speculating in Mayavad philosophy of all types. I don't know if you've ever tried to preach to a Mayavadi before, or someone who's like inclined to a Mayavadi guru. It's next to impossible. You can't change their mind. It's like they just can't see through it. It's so hard. But only when the same people get in touch with Srila Prabhupada's books, then suddenly they can change. They can understand. They want to become devotees. They want to chant rounds. They want to do some service. So this is the power of Prabhupada. Nivasesha Sunyavadi Bhaktivadi. Delivering the Western world from Buddhism and Impressionism. Especially in power. To give Gauravani Pacharini that pretty much the purpose of this Krishna conscious movement is to make sure that Lord Chaitanya's prophecies fulfilled, that the holy name will be heard in every time. And he did this all as a servant of Saraswati Thakur. Namaste, Saraswati. He never took any credit for all these amazing things that happened in such a short amount of time. Even with his disciples, oh, my spiritual master is sent to me, spiritual masters for me. I have to set an example for you. Such humility. He could have claimed to be such a great acharya, but no, he always put Krishna in front. This is the Hare Krishna movement. This is not the Prabhupada movement. The Hare Krishna. He could have said, yes, this is the Bhaktivedanta no, Swami Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada movement. You'll see so many, especially Mayavadis, their movements, it's always named after them. It's never named after God. You look at, I'm not going to get into that, how many in-person groups there are. But it's usually named after the person who started it. But we see Prabhupada, he said International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He didn't even say God consciousness. Specifically, the Supreme Lord is Krishna. He is the Supreme Personality of God. Even all these English terms to explain Sanskrit, it's all coming from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He cannot take any credit. He didn't take any credit for it. His only credit was that he sent the Saint Paul's reference spiritual master. This is the example of changing the world. And only he could do that, to bring this knowledge, Krishna consciousness from India to the rest of the world. Actually, we can see more and more how Prabhupada is light years ahead of everyone else in terms of not just having like love of God, but also just living life in certain ways in the mode of goodness, having mindfulness. Because you see, all these in-person groups, they they're starting to do mindfulness, which is pretty much mode of goodness. Or they're trying to do kirtan or puja. They're all, it's like they're all just trying to catch up to Prabhupada. Different things of you have people that are trying to abstain from or trying to retain semen. There's like a group of men that are doing trying to they have their own group about it. But you can see all these sort of like more sattvic kind of things to do that are coming up in the world, in the modern world, in the West. You can see it all sort of stems. Someone must have touched Prabhupada's books in some way. Vegetarianism, yoga is normal now. How did that happen? It was so weird. You're a weirdo if you're into yoga. You're weird if you're a vegetarian. Now it's normal. So these ideas have infiltrated society. And it's only because of Prabhupada's book. Someone had to touch a book in some way, and they took some value from it. They may have not taken pure devotional service, but we can see the effect of this movement. It's going on, and it will take over. Lord Chaitanya's movement, my spiritual master gives me example. He says that when you do construction, so you have to make sure there's no cracks, so even if it's as small as a pin, like a small crack in the construction. So because if some water gets in, there's some seepage, it can fully get in and then it fully infiltrates the whole structure and you can break it all down. So this holy name, the books, they've gone out. It's already too late. This Krishna conscious movement will take over. The 10,000 years, the golden age, has started with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the mercy has been extended by his Senapati Bhakta, as predicted in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the commander in chief to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. This was Prabhupada. So that transcendental power has been given to him. And he's still doing it now. Yes, not just through the book distribution, but through his movement that he started. ISKCON is, many times we like to, even as members of ISKCON, we say, yeah, ISKCON, they're like this, yeah, typical ISKCON. But I mean, it's kind of stupid to say because we are members of ISKCON, that's one. But also that you probably won't find a better spiritual institution than ISKCON, even though it has some faults. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said it's a necessary evil. But we need it because we have to deal with this material world. We need some organization. And we saw with the Gaudiya Math after Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati left, it all broke apart in fractions. But because they didn't establish a governing body commission, so Prabhupada made sure before he left, he established the GBC. And then we can see how it helps the movement go on. So Prabhupada is so expert, and like I say, you're light years ahead of everyone. Like even now with the issues that are happening in the world, where there's war or pandemics or social media, internet, books will always work out. He knew the media that needed to last forever. It's always going to be books. No one can touch books. And people still value books, even though we have Kindles and ebooks. It sort of exploded for a bit and then it sort of went down. Because some people really want to buy solid books because if you just have a Kindle, I have a Kindle here because I travel. You can't show off all the books that you read. So people like to show off their libraries and bookshelves and everything. Oh yeah, look at all the books. I'm so intellectual. Just like some of that is there. And also for myself, like when I read from my electronic device, it's not the same as reading from a real book. I feel like more goes in. I feel like there's a power, there's a mystic power in these books. Prabhupada said if they just touch a book, they benefit. That's why every time you're on book distribution, you have to make sure you get the book in the hand. First of all, that's number one. Because they'll benefit. They're so close to fully changing their lives to come back to Krishna and get out of this prison. So it's like a fire, you get near the fire, you feel some of the heat. So even though they may say no, tomorrow they'll say yes. So Prabhupada was so expert that he didn't just sort of just do it on his own. No, no. He was so expert that he was able to empower others. Again, my spiritual master, I think he wrote a Vyasa Puja to Prabhupada. So Prabhupada would pray to Krishna. I am just a puppet in your hands. Make me dance, make me dance, make me dance. So my spiritual master was saying that, yes, but you too, Prabhupada, have also puppets that you are making dance. And similarly, I want to be one of those puppets that you also make dance. So this is the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's not that I will just do it all. No. We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mali Chaitanya, the garden of Chaitanya. He is harvesting all these fruits of love of God, and he's powerful enough to distribute it all. But he says, "No, I'll be known as a very pious man if these people, if if people come and help me distribute these fruits of love of God." And how is that fruit distributed? It's through the Mahamantra, through the medium of the Mahamantra, chanting the holy name. That is the purpose of the books, to convince you of the Yuga Dharma, that the only way to be delivered in this Kali Yuga is Harinam Sankirtan. Srila Prabhupada had full faith in the holy name. Even his god brothers, who were favorable towards him, they said that the only way he was successful was because he had complete faith in the holy name. He was always chanting the holy name of the Lord, whether it was on the beads. And even I think doctor even checked he was checking his heartbeat. He could hear the Maha Mantra. So this whole thing was about worshipping the Supreme Personality of God by chanting the holy name. Nothing more powerful than this. And even here we have the statement from Yamaraj that in the sixth canto that there's no more auspicious, it's the most auspicious activity in the universe is this Tasmai Sankirtan Vishnu, this Sankirtan Vishnu. Because it can uproot even the greatest sins. Nam no hi yavati shakti kakam hari hari. Sabakatam shakti kakam kakam. You just chant the holy name once, then it can even purify, it can purify you than more sins they can commit in a lifetime. Krishna, Hare Krishna, purify. So powerful. So how many lifetimes have we been sinful? So we chant a few more times. Yes, it's so powerful. When the holy name Harinam party goes down the street, the whole street is purified. Not just then and there when the party is there, but even after the party is gone, anyone who walks down the street gets purified. We have no idea how powerful this holy name is, but Prabhupada knew. And he did, in these books, they're fully, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, is fully designed to convince you that um, the only way to be delivered in this Kali Yuga is through Hanuman. Yaktake Bhagavate Parabharava Kali Yuga Dhamma Sakatam. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that the Bhagavatam is revealing again and again that the essence of Dharma in Kali Yuga is Nam Sankirtan. So we can see how Prabhupada is empowered by the Lord, empowered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to spread the holy name in every time. And giving us empowerment at the same time. We are also becoming puppets in his hands. We are becoming the branch of the Chaitanya tree. So it's a great opportunity for us. And this opportunity was only in India, 500 years ago, and even just recently with the appearance of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We too can also be engaged in spreading love of God. It's not just with one personality. As long as we connected to that personality, we can also be empowered. So this is the mercy of these pure devotees. And Bhakti Churumar said that Krishna is so kind, he always makes sure there's at least one pure devotee on the planet. So we do have them in our movement in ISKCON. And we can connect to them so easily. I mean, like I can connect to you here, so many amazing devotees through the internet. We're using the Kali Yuga thing, we're fighting fire with fire. To get rid of the internet, actually. Yes, the internet is full of junk and we're trying to put out nice things in there or trying to get people off the internet, maybe onto the streets to chant the holy name. Maybe that's what we're trying to do. To distribute the books of God, to finally experience the nectar for which there is anxious. Love of Krishna. Ram Vijay Teshu Krishna Sankirtan. This is the winning side. This is the real conspiracy. Lord Chaitanya is in charge of this Kali Yuga. This is not Kali Yuga, this is Chaitanya Yuga. We just have to be on the winning side. So I'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, then ask.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, His Grace Harinamananda Prabhu, for sharing this all important wisdom with us. It is not surprising to anybody with a human heart and with a human brain to understand that Srila Prabhupada was just too special, you know. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, reflections, comments, realizations you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask or speak. Ask your question or speak. Prabhuji, it's very interesting. You also highlighted when you were speaking in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about two types of beings. One is the confidential representatives of the Lord, which Yamaraj was one, and then the eternal associates of the Lord. They come into this world. They do not partake in any administrative work. They only come here to participate in the pastimes of the Lord. My question, because this question is like a continuation of yesterday's question we asked our revered speaker, our uncle, His Grace Prabhu. And the question is, in order for a devotee to have any impact in his preaching, he needs empowerment. If one is not empowered, he may not be able to preach and affect people. So the eternal associates, they are empowered by the Supreme Lord. The representatives, the empowered representatives of the Lord, they are also empowered. Then what to speak of those of us, like me, an ordinary person trying to preach? I know my guru, who is a representative of Krishna, can also empower me just as Krishna empowers his eternal associates. Now the question is, what do I do to gain the mercy of my guru to empower me to do the service to please him and to please the Lord? What do I do as a devotee to attain the mercy and the empowerment of my guru to preach? Hare Krishna.
Very nice question. It's to have no plan of your own. So if you have your own plan, how you will preach, how it's supposed to look like, then you'll be cut off from empowerment. So we have to actually know what the spiritual master actually wants us to do. Sometimes, most of the time, we may present a plan to be approved by the spiritual master. But while making the plan, we become attached to it, and we don't actually know what the spiritual master wants for us. So what the spiritual master may do, and most of the time does, is that he sees you're attached to this plan, and it is Krishna conscious, but he knows this is not exactly what's wanted from you. That wasn't his desire. But just to make sure that you're still in the race, then he disapproves of it. And then when you try to do your own small plan, then it doesn't usually work out. And that's Krishna's mercy. He sort of like just smashes it to pieces, and you're like, oh my God, this plan didn't work. And then you come to this helpless position where like, okay, uh, I don't know what to do. I've tried everything. I mean, let me just go to the spiritual master. Look, I tried everything. What do you want me to do? I'll just do that. And this is the perfect position to be in as a disciple, where you're just a blank slate, and then the spiritual master can do anything you want to do. That's when empowerment comes. That's when like all the miracles and magic happens. Where you're kind of like, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. I tried whatever I thought would work, it doesn't work. Guru Maharaj, I just don't know. So this was the mood of Arjuna. Most of the times we read Bhagavad Gita or we tell others to read Gita, and we even tell them like to skip the first chapter. No, first chapter is very important. Arjuna is representing us. He's in a situation that whichever direction he goes for that he thinks is right, he sees a reversal. He can't make a decision. He's stuck. So many people in the material field. Unless you identify with Arjuna, feeling stuck and everything is a reversal, and you can't make a decision, unless you identify with that, whatever Krishna says after that has no meaning. Because you got it. You have your plan, you think you know. So you may hear about Krishna's words because it's famous or whatever, or because he's God, but I mean, doesn't mean it means anything to you because you have your own plan. You think it's gonna work. So unless you're in that position, like Arjuna, then you can really surrender. That's why I say Kalpana dosha pahata sarvava. Vicharakam brahma samudipeta. Yes, we are Iskitanga Vittana Sishita Hamsaranam Sampratana. I am like confused about my duty. I don't know. Please tell me for certain what is best for me. I'm a soul serenity. You please instruct me. So he's confused about his duty, and he wants Krishna to tell him for certain what is best for him. And then he wants instruction. So that's the line we follow. We kind of have to be a blank slate, Krishna, whatever you want. But Arjuna also shows another trait that if there's something that he finds difficult to follow, he doesn't just neglect or reject it. He goes straight to the spiritual masters to consult. How do I do this service that you want from me? Because the spiritual master is independent, he can also change the instruction if he wants to. But he'll consult you and show you how to get through it. If you're open to it. So for me, this kind of realization just started after 10 years of being a disciple. So I mean, I don't think it will happen right away. But I mean, that's the mood we're trying to develop, and that's where empowerment comes. So as a materialist, it sounds weird, you shouldn't think about it. It sounds like low self-esteem, but no, it's just reality. The material world's full of complexities. We keep getting stuck. Every plan that we go for has a reversal, or even makes the problem worse. We need help. And the spiritual master, being the confidential servant, being the representative of God, being the manifestation of the super soul, he understands the truth. Tat Vedashana, he sees the truth. He sees you as a lover of Krishna. And he knows the scripture, he knows your situation and your condition life. So he can understand how to apply Krishna's words in your situation. He's expert. This is important.
Well, thank you so much for the answer. We pray that we will have this empowerment. But I think, like you were saying, it begins with us if we so desire. If we so desire, then the Guru may mercifully empower us. But the Guru is not going to empower us against our will. So I think it starts or it begins with us. But the other question I have is the third offense against the chanting of the holy names of the Lord states that one should not disobey the orders of the spiritual master. And you so beautifully shared with us how Lord Krishna, even though he was like not quote unquote the spiritual master uh, of Draupadi per se, but he instructed Draupadi to kill Ashwatthama. And Draupadi said, "No way." Yudhishthira said, "No way." Bhima said, "Yes, kill him." So, but later on, it appears that Krishna was kind of testing or teasing Draupadi, and Draupadi passed the test. So this is just one example. There are a couple of examples, if not many, in the scriptures where a disciple actually disobeyed the orders of the spiritual master. But we are also told not to disobey the orders of the spiritual master because we do not have the eyes to see. The spiritual master has the eyes to see. So when the spiritual master instructs, it is the duty of the disciple to follow. But so the question is, at what point does a disciple understand that this instruction coming from my spiritual master of asking me to do this is actually a test? It is not what the spiritual master actually wants me to do, and therefore I do not have to do it. How does the disciple understand that this is not exactly what the spiritual master expects of me, but he wants to try me to see how matured I am and how perfectly I'm going to handle the situation? How, if there is a point in time where a disciple should even disobey the orders of the spiritual master, how does the disciple understand that this can be I say you can override what the spiritual master is saying and do something else.
So in my case, I was tested. My, my spiritual master was asking me to get married, and I said no.
Ooh la la.
And it was like for 2 years he was suggesting this path, and I kept saying no. And then after 2 years, he said, "Okay, that's enough. The episode. You don't need to worry about it." And so he never asked me after that. And he understood, like, because he gave me the service of Harinam, he could see how attached I was to it. And for me, it's like, if I was to get married, I probably wouldn't get to do as much Harinam as I'm doing now. Because I'd rather die than not do Harinam. So, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't want to put myself in such a situation to jeopardize the service. Um, yeah, I guess that was the test I was there. But I think in scripture it's also there that one can refuse that request from the spiritual masters to get married and say no to that. But in terms of any other instruction, I'm not sure. I guess you can only relate it to the pastime of holy marriage when he rejected his guru. When his guru told him not to worship Vishnu, so then there was grounds to reject the spiritual master. But in terms of like still being the disciple and disobeying instruction, I mean, maybe the interaction was more casual and you kind of refused to do the activity. So every spiritual master has a different mood and they're not all the same. So we also have to know the mood of the spiritual master. Maybe it's just a joke, maybe it's just a passing. I don't know. Because this interaction with the spiritual master is also not ordinary either. So it's quite interesting for a disciple to figure out the mood of the spiritual master, what he likes, what he doesn't like. Because the spiritual master can't help what he likes and doesn't like. It's just what he likes and doesn't like. We as disciples can't decide for him. Like for example, there was another thing that my spiritual master would do. So he spent some time in Australia and he liked the Australian accent. I don't know if you ever heard it before. I kind of lost it now. But he's like, how you going like this? What's going on, mate? All right. So this accent in Australia is not really, it's kind of for low class people, like rednecks. Oh, yeah, what's going on, mate? Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So you don't want to sound like that when you grow up in Australia. It's like low class. But for some reason, he found it endearing. So then every time he'd see me, he wants me to be his Aussie mate and we'll speak in this accent. And he'd even do it in front of like, devotees or disciples from other countries. And they have no idea what we're saying because it sounds really weird. And I'm thinking like, oh, man, I didn't even wanted to have this accent, but now I felt like eventually that because he liked it so much, my service was to be his Aussie mate every time he'd ask me, oh, yeah, how you going? Then I have to reply back in the same accent. Oh, yeah, not bad, going all right. So, so that was the service. He liked it. I couldn't decide whether I didn't like it, but he liked it. So, okay, let's do it.
Well, thank you for sharing this wonderful Leela. It's interesting. See, I once asked this same question to His Holiness Chandramali Maharaj, and his answer was, Sahadev, you are not supposed to disobey the orders of the spiritual master, but sometimes one may disobey the orders of the spiritual master, but it requires the intelligence. And I forgot to ask him, how does the intelligence come about? Because there is this devotee, I can't think of the name, who was given the Hare Krishna mantra by his guru and was told that this mantra can...
Ramanujacharya.
Yeah, thank you. Has the power to send each and everyone back to God and do not reveal it to anyone, And then he went and stood on the mountaintop and then beat the gong and then announced, But the guru was happy with him, Lord Chaitanya also revealed himself to one of his associates, and actually, that was Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya revealed himself with a four-armed Mahavishnu and warned this devotee, if you dare tell anybody, I'm going to kill you. I'm here talking about it. If he did not reveal it, how can I say what happened? So That's I forgot to ask if you may help, Prabhuji. How does a devotee live in such a way that he will have the intelligence to ascertain when the guru is testing him and when the guru is actually instructing him? Most of the time, it is instructions, but once in a blue moon, there may be a testing coming from the guru. But I'm saying it like His Holiness Chandramali Maharaj said, it requires intelligence, which I sitting here now do not have.
I mean, that's why we should always consult the spiritual master. So sometimes most of the time we just leave it and then try to speculate what it actually means. But you can consult. The spiritual master is available to be consulted with in terms of an instruction. But yeah, we kind of have to sort of be in this mood of like, oh, okay, if I consult, maybe he'll change it or remove the instruction. So we have to also come with some sincerity or something. But I would not, I think for us, like, the examples you're given, they're like such, they're all liberated souls or confidential associates of the Lord. So I wouldn't say that we could do it. I mean, these these are associates, they're always in love with Krishna. So anything they do would be out of love for Krishna. And whether disobey or obey or neglect or whatever, it's just their whole existence is just about pleasing Krishna. So I couldn't say that we could do the same thing. I think it's plainly fine. I wouldn't try to. Is this an instruction I should disobey? I don't think that's a good idea. Good way to go. I wouldn't advise it.
Well, thank you so much. No imitation. I read some wonderful pastimes of Jagannath Das Babaji, and he had very, very, to us as conditioned souls, very, very weird relationships with Krishna. And that makes no sense whatsoever. But Krishna loved it anyway. So we cannot say, okay, he did it that, so we can also do that. No, we are not on that level. So thank you for sharing that. Anyone with something else before we call it a day today? Well, Prabhuji, we thank you so much for the time and the love because the time at your end there is kind of odd. It will be very difficult for me sitting here to wake up that time to do what
By
you
the way, I
do.
just stayed up. That's why it's easier. Just stay up.
Well, it's
Because we
easy.
did
It's easier for you, not for me
we
at
did
all.
Harina from like 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. to midnight. And then, yeah, so then we came back, had some prashad, and 1 a.m. to class. So it's okay. But if I had to sleep before and get up early, forget it.
Yeah. Prabhu shared with us because we were going to have like an end of year big Harinam from 8 to 12. So,
So yeah,
well,
that's in Melbourne. I'm in another city up north, so it's okay.
okay.
The
Okay.
first time.
Thank you so much. So, dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute and we chant Hare Krishna to express our appreciation. To our revered speaker, His Grace Harinamananda Prabhu, and also to the Supreme Lord and the Parampara for bringing us to the end of this year 2024. Today is the last day, and we are grateful that we are still in this body and still trying to hear Krishna Katha. And before we even do that, there is one thing I almost forgot. There is one thing I wanted to also share and at least emphasize. That is when Prabhuji, you were saying Srila Prabhupada was like light years ahead of each and everyone. It's amazing what Srila Prabhupada, yes, foresaw. Srila Prabhupada says using media to spread Krishna's message. So he said, so go on with your organization for distribution of my books through press and other modern media, and Krishna will certainly be pleased upon you. We can use everything, television, radio, movies, or whatever there may be, to tell about Krishna. And then he says, the mass media can become such an important instrument in spreading our Krishna consciousness movement. And I'm glad to see that you are endeavoring to explore how this can be done. Mind you, this was 1971. Internet came into existence around 1970. So it was very, very, very fresh. Many people didn't even know there was anything as internet, the web. And Prabhupada again says, we are modern day Vaishnavas and we must preach vigorously using all the means available. These are some few things I would like to share with devotees, because sometimes some devotees are opposed to media preaching. Like Harinamananda Prabhu was saying, I'm sitting on one part of the globe, he is on one part of the globe, but by the power of the media, internet, we are together. So thank you for sharing that also, Prabhuji. And with that, finally, Prabhuji, please, we may all unmute and we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Panchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhuvaivacha patitanam pavanapaya Ananta Vaishnavrinda ki jai. All glories to His grace Harinamanda Prabhu ki jai.
Glory to God.
Amen. Hare Hare Bol.
See you next time.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare